him.
Oh, who gives a shit? He wasn't going to help us.
Well, of course not. You sounded insane. Oh, it is insane. If he's alive, where is he?
He's probably back at my house, wondering where the hell I am. Taxi! Your house? Taxi!
Wait a minute.
Wait, just got this here. Taxi!
I don't believe for 1 minute that he's at your apartment.
Oh, boy, are you gonna shit cement. Taxi! Taxi!
If Michael is anywhere, I assure you, he is at my place.
Taxi! Taxi! Oh, you believe that?
I believe that he loved me. That he barely knew you in your fantasizing relationship that is probably an isolated, drunken encounter.
Isolated? Isolated? Hey, this girl does not have one-night stands. Every guy I have ever slept with, and we are way into double digits here, has come back for more. Every single one.
You want to get me, right?
Okay, give it a try. Give it a try. Let's go. Let's go.
Bob and weave, honey. Bob and weave.
Who dresses you anyway?
Right.
Okay. Stand still, you little bitch. You're gonna bash your wasp brains out.
Talk about dingbats.
Oh, no.
They'll lead us right to him.
Yup. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. 9 years of LA. You're too weird to hit. Taxi. Taxi.
Welcome back to the show, everybody!
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome, listeners, boys and girls, and everybody in between. My name's Pete.
And I'm Scott.
And these are the movies that made us gay! Welcome back.
So we're doing a movie that, I feel like this was always on the list of, episodes and movies that we would do within, the first 10 to 15 episodes.
It was in my original, pitch.
It was on
for
your
this
original,
podcast.
poster art for the podcast.
Yes, it was. Way back in the day, 2 years ago.
But we finally got to it.
Yes.
We watched Outrageous Fortune with our good friend, Greg Lightner.
Greg!
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Greg.
Welcome.
So you wanted to do Outrageous Fortune.
See.
A movie that Pete and I love. I feel like Pete and I bonded about Outrageous Fortune, I feel like the first night that we met.
Did we?
How did you guys even come across it? Because the movie's older than you guys, yeah?
Older than him, not me.
Older than me. Yeah. Oh, no, not quite. I was a baby.
Yeah.
I was one.
Is it 87?
87.
Jeez,
yeah,
Louise.
this movie was released January 30th, 1987.
Oh my god.
Directed by
my birthday.
Yeah, directed by Arthur Hiller, written by Leslie Dixon, Movies That Made Us Gay All-Star. She wrote Overboard.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And when you kind of hear the script,
okay,
and you hear that, you're just kind of like, yeah, that tracks.
Well, she has that really witty style of writing, that banter back and forth that you get a lot in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of banter in this, but there's a lot of business, for lack of a better word. A lot of big business. Hello.
Yes.
No, but there's a lot of stuff going on that we're going to get to later on.
There's so much going on in this movie.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Outrageous Fortune. Jesus.
Bette was in the middle of her contract with Touchstone Pictures when she made this movie. She did her movies with Touchstone. It was this, Big Business, Beaches, Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Oh, my God.
All Touchstone movies.
Sure. So she got a 4-picture deal.
Yeah.
With essentially Disney.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this is one of them. This is one of the early ones, though, 87.
Well, yeah, and Beaches was so drastically different from all these other ones.
And that was, I think, 89.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beaches. Yeah.
So it was her probably last one with Touchstone then.
Wow. Okay. I mean, come on. Big Business, though?
Classic.
Get out of here.
So good.
I love that movie.
Although, I don't know. I would say, gun to my head, I'm at the video store. I have the lineup of all of the Bette Midler movies.
Sure.
I think
You're hunting Beaches?
I think I'm picking Outrageous Fortune.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
All right.
I think it's a really good juicy bet.
Yes.
The good news is, anything with Bette Midler has never let us down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So, even though, what was it? Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Like my moment of Bette Midler, but still enjoyable because of Bette Midler.
Yeah, for sure. Same with, and I know it's not part of this package, but same with Ruthless People.
Oh, Ruthless People. Same. Yeah.
I always just know Ruthless People from the VHS box art at the video store.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, because it was
because of the masks.
The masks, and it was like a cartoon drawing.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, this is the golden age of like light comedies with maybe like an animated opening credit sequence.
Great opening credit sequence in this movie.
Great opening credits in this movie, but Shelley Long in True Beverly Hills.
Oh, that's still my favorite show.
And also Shelley Long, just fresh off of leaving
Cheers.
Leaving Cheers.
Fucked off from Cheers.
Yep. So she was kind of trying to find movie vehicles with mixed results.
Yeah.
But I feel like this movie did make money too.
Yeah.
I think it was a semi-hit for Touchstone.
Well, I mean, we're gonna talk about the Oprah interview, but this movie had to. Were they specifically talking about this movie, or was it just a Bette retrospective where it was brought up?
I don't know.
I feel like they were on to talk about, or Bette was on right around this time.
Maybe it was on for like Beaches or something.
Yeah, interesting.
Have you ever seen the interview that we're talking about on Oprah? Where it's just Bette on Oprah. She was probably doing press for Beaches or something, and they're doing questions from the audience. And this gay asked her, like, "Oh, I loved you in Outrageous Fortune. When do you have any plans to reunite with Shelley Long?"
And she straight up is just like, "Nope."
No.
Next question.
And that's what it's like. And she's just like, "Yeah, that was hard."
Because that seems to be Bette's style. Obviously, I don't know her personally, but yeah, you're on a press tour for this, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has said notoriously how Shelley Long is horrible to work with.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a big old pain in the ass.
Yes, a big old diva, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you've had hits. I like Hello Again. I liked The House.
The Money Pit.
Money Pit. Yeah. Like, she did good things.
Yeah.
However, if you a bitch, you're only going to go so far.
And Bette Midler is a straight shooter.
And she stole this movie from her.
She steals it from under the rug.
I mean, I think it's chemistry that maybe works better that these two women just hate each other. Because it just works to the characters.
It does.
Too.
But then that's a testament to their acting, because at the end where they're supposed to be like BFFs, like almost lesbian lovers, like they sell it, that they actually like each other now.
True. Yeah, true. You see the arc of the two of them.
Right.
For sure.
But who got top billing?
Well, Shelley did.
So in the version that we watched that you could just rent off Amazon, it was Shelley, but I was reading both Shelley Long and Bette Midler were promised top billing when they signed on to do the movie. However, neither was willing to give up top billing to the other. To compromise, Long allegedly received top billing in advertising west of the Mississippi, and Midler received the honor.
What?
Wow.
So when they showed this in the theater, depending on what area of the country you lived in, either of them got top billing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So 87, I was Florida, so we would have had Bette at the top.
So supposedly this agreement extended through the original Laserdisc and VHS title of the movies. When discs shipped to the realtors in the West, it featured Shelley Long, and in the East, the discs were Bette.
That's interesting.
And we have a VHS of this. We'll have to.
Oh, we should check it.
We'll have to check that out. I bet that it's probably Shelley.
I got our VHS at a. Did I get it out of the? No, I think I got it out of the closet.
Yeah,
for
like $1.
75
But
cents.
I wonder what the original one was.
Exactly. It does not look like a previously viewed Blockbuster because it has the original art. Blockbuster did not sell previously viewed with the original box art, so it looks like someone purchased it.
Okay.
And then just resold
back
it.
in the day.
I mean, I kind of feel like Bette should be top billed in the movie, but the movie does begin with Shelley, though.
It starts with Shelley. I would say, diplomatically, never seen this movie before in my life. I would say Shelley Long's character,
the principal lead.
Lauren,
Yeah.
Did we decide her name was Lauren?
I mean, we just...
About the 80-minute mark of this movie, we decided her name was Lauren.
We just refer to them both as Shelley and Lauren.
And Shelley and Bette.
Shelley and Bette.
I feel like, diplomatically, if I'd never seen this, I would say that the Shelley Long Lauren character is the lead. And
well, yeah, because Bette didn't even come into like the 15-minute mark.
Exactly. But she does do the classic kind of a sidekick scene-stealing performance.
True.
Yeah. She takes the movie. So she has better, better one-liners, and her character just gives a little bit more because she's the sassy, brassy one, I guess.
Okay, so I wanted to back up a little bit.
Sure.
What were our first memories of Outrageous Fortune? Because it's funny, when we talk about this movie with people, even around Pete and I's age, kind of in between us, I'm always shocked with the amount of gay men that have never seen this movie.
Sure.
Because it's very specific.
Yeah.
So, what were all of our introductions to this movie?
Greg, go ahead. Guess.
I don't recall my first introduction to the film. However, I do know that my first boyfriend loved this film. So that's probably whenever I first recall at least rewatching it. Mm-hmm. But like I told people before, I remember the beginning. I don't remember anything else in between, and then I remember the ending.
Yeah.
And you do remember, like, Shelley had some good lines. Bette probably had the better lines. So if you're like a sassy gay, you're going to be quoting Bette Midler. And everybody remembers, I know it's a little further ahead in the movie, but everybody remembers Bette Midler looking down and being like, "That's a fucking pencil."
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what the hell? Well, it's not his. No way! Look at that! It's too small.
It's a fucking pencil!
Well, where's the appendix scar?
And that little mole!
It's a fucking pencil!
Like, that's how you identify somebody, is like, that's a fucking pencil.
Yes. This movie is pre-OJ trial, so apparently there's no DNA evidence is required.
Or dental records.
To identify a body.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right.
It was a wallet.
Yeah.
They found a wallet, done. We're
Sure.
done.
It's a wallet.
I guess it checks out. So I remember catching the last half of this movie on the Lifetime channel for women.
Television for
women.
women.
And it was when they get to the
New
Southwest.
Mexico?
When they get to New Mexico.
Yeah.
And just being like, what is this movie? I love Bette Midler. Like, this movie's hilarious. And I feel like I had to wait until I just caught it at the beginning on cable.
Yeah.
Because it would be shown about once a month, I would say, on Lifetime. And that's when I watched the whole thing.
Okay.
Sure.
And, yeah. Like, I just remembered thinking that Bette Midler's delivery of everything was so funny.
Yeah. And that's what stuck with you.
And that's what
not Shelley
just stuck with this movie.
Yeah.
And what about you, Pete?
I've spoken on this podcast about my family's idea of daisy chaining our movie camera to our VCR.
Oh shit!
To therefore record whatever we rented from the video store. And turning our rentals into our home library. And so this was part of that situation. Some could call it pirating. I would not call it that. But
you definitely weren't reading the FBI warning at the beginning of the tape.
There was an FBI warning at the beginning of the tape.
Did they even have them all the way back in the day?
Yeah, there was. There were.
I know my dad was deathly scared.
It was red.
Because they would always record soap operas, and they're like, are we even allowed? Like, they just show
off
sporting
the TV?
events.
Yeah.
They just show sporting events on the manual. And he's like, so don't tell anybody. And I'm like, wow, is that serious? But I don't recall back in the day. And I remember our very first video store that opened up, and I don't recall them coming with FBI warnings at the beginning. I know later on they did, especially when they started selling them.
Sure, yeah. In the early days, I couldn't say, but I do know that somebody had the genius idea of, like I said, all you do is you daisy chain your movie camera to your VCR, to the TV, bing, bang, boom.
Right.
You got a movie.
I learned quickly the VCR to VCR.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And once we got 2 VCRs in the house, then we figured that out. So we were, we did this.
And you always had to have a blank tape handy when they were doing HBO free preview weekend.
Oh, get out of here.
That's when you get all the good shit.
Yeah.
And then you put it on super long play, which you had like the worst quality on earth.
SLP, get out of here.
We got those 4 movies on there.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we were kings of that. So this is how we got Outrageous Fortune. And, as a kid, so in 87, I'm 9, 10, and I feel like we probably got it pretty new. And, Bette, love the lines. I feel like, to me, Shelley Long's character, Lauren, she represents to me this East Coast, very waspy, educated woman. And Sandy, the Bette Midler character, whilst also very East Coast. And to me, this, SoCal, LA kid, looking at the two of them going, what is this? What are these women? What are these archetypes? I don't have these women in my life.
Well, and the funny thing is looking in my life, Shelley Long would be my waspy upbringing.
Right.
However, I didn't like waspy Shelley. I wanted fucking sassy ass. I mean, it's a gay thing. I don't know. As a kid, I probably didn't identify with that, but at least was who is this? I want to be her.
Yes.
I want to be somebody who call up the fucking telephone company and be
Howie.
Howie. I have 2 minutes to wheel myself out and pay you.
Yeah, hi, this is Sandy Brzezinski. Who's this? Howie. Okay, Howie. I'm holding in my hand this thing. He says you're going to turn off my phone at noon. Oh, yeah, well, I want to tell you something. I just got out of the hospital. I get home after 2 months of intensive care. They wheel me into my building. I open my mailbox. I find your thingy screaming at me. I have till 12 noon today. Hey, no, you listen. I just opened the damn thing. I just now laid eyes on it for the first time. What was I supposed to do? Have them unhook the life support machine so I could pay my bills? Oh, really? Yeah, so now I have 3. Now make that 2 minutes to write a check and wheel myself down to your office. Howie, is that the drill? 24 hours? 24 big ones. All right, Howie, you're a prince among men. I mean it. I want to have your child. Yeah, bye.
Out of intensive care? You want me to unhook myself from life support?
I guess that's just how Bette Midler speaks to gay men. She's always had.
Yeah.
She always had. But her starting was bathhouses,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the classic story is her singing. And I just can imagine going to a bathhouse and seeing this broad. What is she singing? She's singing you gotta have friends.
She and it's a bathhouse. How many that would be a tough crowd. Because it's you're sucking dick and I'm still trying to get your attention.
Nobody's paying attention.
Listen to me singing and performing on stage while you're trying to get your juice off.
Exactly. But listen, her character in Big Business is,
Which one?
Well, that's the thing.
Rose or Sadie?
Sadie is your, what is, the Devil Wears Prada.
She's the Miranda Priestley.
She's the Miranda Priestley.
Get tougher rats.
Get tougher rats. You look like a blood clot.
Is that how we dress for the office?
Which, director of Devil Wears Prada, you fucking ripped off this movie, first of all, with everybody, preparing for Miranda walking in the office. She's playing such different characters in these movies, but she is the one that I just zoned in on. And I don't know what it was.
Even just when she's mugging in the back of the acting class, your eye just goes right.
Oh yeah,
your eye just goes right to Bette.
They would have the 2 shot of Shelley in the front row and Bette in the back row, which I think is genius because they would definitely be in those positions.
Yes.
You kind of lose Shelley and go straight to Bette's reaction.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you watch it now, Shelley Long is good.
She is.
Yeah. Her performance is good. There's some funny stuff in there. the whole idea of the character as an actress. So
and when
she's
she
doing
goes into
voices.
like performance pieces in the movie, like she's pretending to be a cop.
Yeah. Or when she kind of is mocking Sandy and does like funny little, gee, you think I want to be an actress?
I want to be an actress.
Yeah. Like, she's good. She's keeping up. But we're here for Sandy.
Stop! Please, do not screech at anyone else. I am trying to prepare for an audition here. Thank you.
Oh, yeah? What for?
A workshop with Stanislav Korzanowski.
Who's that?
Only one of the great geniuses of the theater. Now, if you don't mind...
Hey, maybe I should audition for him, too. I'm an actress. Hey, no, I'm a pro. I bet I'm more of a pro than you. Well, I just made $2,500 doing a movie. Yeah.
That's where I've seen you. It has been driving me crazy.
You saw Ninja Vixens?
Must have.
Huh. Well, this whole acting thing's been going pretty good. I mean, it's all just bullshitting, right? Actors are just bullshitters who get paid. Where do I sign up?
Just exactly what do you think you're going to do in there?
I don't know. I'll make something up.
You're going in to Stanislav Korzanowski and wing it?
Jesus, you think I was going to go in and pee on him?
Listen to me. You do not audition for a man of Korzanowski's reputation without a prepared classical monologue. That means Shaw, Ibsen, Shakespeare. I'm doing Ophelia's mad scene. I'm not waltzing in off the street saying, gee, I think I want to be an actress.
We're here for Bette.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, whenever I hear someone in Los Angeles say that they're an actor, I just want to say that actors are just bullshitters that get paid. You're an actor. Bullshit him.
Bullshit him. Actors are just bullshitters to get paid. And she says it with such, like, disdain. She's
you think
like,
this is hard?
Well, because she was like, I just got paid, what, $1,200 for a movie? $2,500 for a movie?
Yeah. For Ninja Vixens.
You saw Ninja Vixens? I must have.
This, but also, again, the delivery of Bette Midler, I'm not going to say it's scattered, but the whole, like, you saw Ninja Vixens, like, that's a little, it's very New York.
Like,
she's doing a very,
she's kind of workshopping this character.
Yes. She's a little Brooklyn, she's a little...
Right, it's harsh and brass.
Yeah.
But I think that's also... especially in juxtaposition to Shelley Long's waspy, uptight, like, clearly her parents have money.
Yes.
Clearly she had a well upbringing. Yeah. What, they say she went to fucking Yale or something?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, bitch.
She went to Juilliard.
Right.
Yeah.
And it took, like, a fucking New York street rat who had a better apartment than Shelley. Let's talk about that.
I love Bette's apartment in this movie.
Right?
So cute.
So clearly she's doing something right, and she taught Shelley, like, this is how you live in life. Like, you had all this training, blah, 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 but you had no real-world experience.
Yes.
She didn't have the street smarts.
She didn't.
I think in 1987, in Manhattan, you could be a barmaid and still have a decent loft apartment and survive.
Well, especially a bullshitter and someone who's as personable as Bette is.
Yeah.
I'm sure she brought in that dough.
Yeah.
She made sure she brought in that dough.
Yeah.
It would be almost like a drag queen at that time, where Shelley being like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to work in this costume department and I'll make you free costumes because I haven't had sex in a year. Right. So it's like, no, Bette's going to get that money, get that paid. Like, I need this. And
because I think we're to believe that bar where she sees the news report.
That's where she works at.
I think she's working.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And she does mention at another point about, like, slinging drinks.
Yeah. And she always has a hookup. She has a hookup at the telephone company.
Howie.
So she always, like, she's resourceful. She knows.
She makes it clear that she is not paying her phone bill. She's just making excuses now. And again, it's a different time. It's 1987, where you can call the phone company and ask for the last agent you spoke to by name, and they just connect you, and it works. this movie starts off with Shelley Long's character because, again, for all intents and purposes, she's the lead. We've talked about that she's kind of a failed actress, I guess. You know, she's a failed actress.
Is burning through her parents' money, her rich parents' money.
How old are they?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
one of those things in the 80s
Are
that
they?
are we conservative? Because it's like it's movie age.
Yes.
So are they 34?
I want to say
38?
early 30s.
I would say early to mid.
Yeah.
However, as a kid watching it, never picked up on that.
Never.
I never picked up on that they're older, blah, 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 because
Yeah.
they're such relatable characters.
Yeah.
However, so story structure, they kind of set Bette up to be the villain, and
Yes.
when you actually look at it, like, Shelley's kind of the asshole in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, did you... And I think I always found myself rooting for Bette. To this
Yeah.
day, I still root for Bette. And it was like, no, you're kind of the asshole. You're kind of the one who's just like, man, poor me, poor blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yes.
I'm a struggling actor. Fuck it, get it done.
Yeah.
Use everything to your advantage, which Bette kept saying. Like, you're an actress, use it to your advantage.
Yeah. Bullshit them. That's
Right.
all you do. And, you know, she's trying to get into this acting class with
Stanislav Korzanowski.
I have a lot of questions about this character.
Korzanowski. Okay. This class, and again, I keep bringing this up. This is 1987. $5,000.
That's a lot of goddamn
That's
money.
a lot of money for an acting class.
That is a lot of... I remember paying like $400 for a groundlings class and being like, are you fucking kidding me right
My
now?
classes are $2,500.
Yeah.
Like, and that's 10 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Stanislav's classes are.
I mean, I
don't
hope
think it
that
was
I
10
hope
weeks.
that at least when you take this class, he hooks you up with like an agent.
I mean, he gives you diphthongs and chokes you out. So,
Yeah, this is an exorbitant amount of money, but we do learn that there is some kind of a work study because Sandy is on scholarship somehow.
she's on scholarship.
He liked
yeah.
her enough. Now, did he just like her based on her headshot? Because we do get that cutaway to him.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. Like, I think she generally...
Like, she's a rube,
So-
and he picks her out.
Right, so if we took
To
the
be a patsy.
major arc of the story,
Yeah.
major arc would be like, who's two people I can use?
Yeah.
But subtle arc would be like, at this point, we don't know that Michael's fucking both of them. We don't know that there's
Yes.
that part. So
Yeah.
at what point does that kind of figure its way in?
Yeah.
So at this point, does Stanislav actually like them? Like, actually like Bette at least?
Yeah.
And be like, you're actually gifted, you're funny. Like, he actually chuckled when he saw her and
He
seemed
did.
to actually enjoy her.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing, like, how much is the setup? How much of it is they actually got on their own merit? Which is like, how did that CIA agent get in?
Yeah.
Like, is he so good that he got in?
Which begs the other question. Korzanowski is a world-renowned actor, director, acting teacher, also KGB agent, but he's leading this double life, and so his acting person is like, okay, I'm doing this class, I'm charging 5 G's.
And that's what gets crazy about this movie.
Because
is that,
it's an audition
to
get to the class. But the overarching craziness
the
of
overarching craziness of the plot of this movie is just it's MacGuffin after MacGuffin after MacGuffin.
Yes.
And who saw, this is going to jump forward a little bit, but who saw agricultural, like, virus?
Neurotoxins.
I know.
Right.
God.
Like,
Them,
you expect
them
diamonds
foiling,
or...
them foiling a terrorist.
Right.
Some guys are chasing us because one of them stole a virus that's going to kill and destroy all the plants and all the trees for thousands of miles all the way around. We stole it back, so now they're trying to kill us. You get it?
It turns
Subplot.
It turns into like a Kurt Vonnegut like crazy sci-fi plot really fast. Adjusted for inflation, $4,000 in 1987 is equal to it's $5,000.
$5,000.
Oh, so this is even wrong. All right, keep talking, guys.
So 4,000 is 5,000?
No. I looked up $4,000.
But what was that? Because we can still probably figure that out.
Well, okay, $5,000 in 1987 is equal to $11,627.
That just pays for a semester of school at like.
Well, when you think about it that
college.
way, it's equal to quote unquote real college. Sorry, actors.
Well,
but when you think about it the other way,
a liberal arts college.
yeah. But it's also equal to a
So
Ford
how
Focus.
long was this fucking workshop?
A semester?
And it couldn't have been that long because
knows?
clearly they dropped out to find out where Michael is. Like, and suddenly it had to be over because how do you explain it to
Coors
everybody
is
else?
on their
Coors is
trail.
in Albuquerque.
Yep.
Right.
Could you imagine all of those poor actors?
And he said it's our
paid-
3-week anniversary when he blew up. So 4 weeks of acting class. You got 1 month for $5,000.
Those poor actors that showed up,
$11,500.
that showed up to that next day of class, and
They're just like, where's Coors?
the instructor is gone.
It's been 15 minutes. Does this mean we can go home?
I mean, true story.
Because that's a real rule, right?
I've done it. I've done it in college.
I feel like we've all. Have you done the 15-minute rule? Teacher hasn't showed up. Teacher.
Yeah.
Professor.
And we all look at each other having the debate, like, should we?
Yeah, should we leave? Can we just go? Are we going to be marked absent? Well, okay. So now we have to talk about the Peter Coyote character.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
I mean, Peter Coyote, I guess he's hot. I guess he's cute. I guess I buy them pursuing
Yeah.
him cross country.
I'm okay with it.
So, Bet probably definitely will because apparently, like, he had the biggest dick, like, ever.
Yes.
Shelley was just desperate for anybody and thought he was like, sweet, and wanted to save the children and blah, blah, blah.
And it's specifically set up that Shelley Long,
right,
is uptight.
But she had the kinky sex in the scene. Like, we still had to sit there and figure out what kind of acrobatics was this.
He
bitch
fully
doing.
had,
She was
he
doing
fully
death drops.
had his legs spread.
First of all, he was in a chair.
He was in a chair.
In a seated position with his legs spread open. So he's like
But then you
man-spreading.
saw his hands and other legs.
It is
And so you're like, wait.
too much.
And then she comes up. So it looked like blowjob positioning, but clearly she must have been laying on the floor and like some kind of up thrusting him. And then did a full ab crunch to...
But again, we've established, which this movie does, and we called it out when we watched it. This movie sets up and pays off.
A lot of setup and payoff in this
covers
movie,
all
definitely.
the bases.
Yeah. And the setup for Shelley Long, Lauren, is ballet. So she can do these, extreme ballet split jumps over long distances.
And we saw the fencing.
Sets up the fencing.
We saw the fencing.
She sucked at the first gunshot death in class, but then made up for it the second time.
It sets up
her death
It
scenes,
sets up Bette's earring that she took off of a Christmas tree at
and
Saks.
fucking ninja started like a football field into this dude's head.
A Christmas tree ornament that she turned into an earring. This has got to be made of aluminum.
It's from Saks.
It is from Saks. Okay, so maybe
It could be sterling silver for all we know.
at that point it is like weighing down on her earlobe. But yes, she does throw it like a ninja star. And this man turns into the Terminator by the end of this movie.
He does.
Yeah.
There's a tally of the wounds.
Shot in the leg, arrow to the arm, rock in the head,
Ninja star to the face.
star to the face. And he just keeps on kicking.
And he's still chasing her across the 5 fingers, which is this like...
It's a beautiful matte shot
Oh, it's a lovely painting.
that they set up.
It's a lovely painting that does not exist in real life, but it looks like it does. They did a really good job of matching it on set. The jumps at the end, I mean, we'll talk about that, but the jumps, they were a little fast and loose with how wide these fingers were apart from each other. But
was there an original? Was Bette originally, like Bette and Shelley, the original actresses for the script?
So I was reading that Suzanne Summers had signed the contract with Touchstone, and I think she turned the Bette Midler role down.
Okay.
But it could have been Shelley Long. I see Suzanne Summers more as Shelley Long.
Well, because based on the fashion plates we got at the beginning...
Yes.
So, clearly there was a leather-clad, leopard-clad, sexy, slutty kind of person.
Yeah.
And we got oversized sweater and jeggings for Bette.
Yeah.
Which she was a little puffy, but still sexy. Still, she owns every part of her.
Yeah.
But then I'm wondering, like, because these opening images that we get are not tantamount to the rest of the
movie. They didn't all match up. Some of them were out of left field.
This is just what happens when an advertising company
does your credits.
Your opening credits.
Yeah.
And they have not watched the movie.
They gave them the stills of, the wardrobe fittings, which were not with Shelley and Bette. There were definitely stand-ins.
Sure.
But they got these stills, and it was definitely a Mattel fashion plate situation that we saw.
And you definitely saw the two different characters in there. And then I do like, because they do start to intertwine and pull on each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I kind of like now, in retrospect, where you think maybe the opening titles don't match the rest of the movie, but maybe they do.
Yeah.
Because maybe it is I take some from you, you take some from me. It's a very actor-style thing to do. And it was like, we're seeing teacher, we're seeing vixen, and now we're seeing a weird mix-up of teacher, vixen.
That makes sense. The two of them kind of like pooling their talents.
Right.
Okay. I like that.
And then George Carlin.
Yeah.
All of the scenes in this crazy, like, old west town that George Carlin lives in. Too much.
And that's one of those things that this movie goes from downtown Manhattan, and then 45 minutes later, you're in this small southwest town.
With a bordello from the 1800s.
Yes. There is a full-on bordello with a madam that's above a bar.
And what really pisses me off is the fact that they're in wherever following Michael, and they're like, where's a white guy? Oh, they got him. And then they pull over. All the backgrounds are white.
Yeah.
There's not one person of color. Maybe the kid inside the apartment looks like he's maybe Latino.
He's a little brown.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's it? You're so scared of this city that has like, all I see is white dudes when you're walking out.
But not only that, is they go so out of their way to illustrate
how scared Shelley is.
Scared they are of,
Bette's not, though.
Bette's not.
Because Bette's seen the world.
Yes, for sure. She's definitely, she's lived in Brooklyn, she's lived in Queens, like, who knows what her backstory is, but she's kind of just like, what's a little urine?
I mean,
what's a little urine?
She's had some POC. She's had some water sports. Bette's lived a life at this point.
When they get to the cab company, she's just like, she takes the reins.
The cab company that looks like they walked onto the set of Taxi.
Yes.
It really does.
But even DC Cabs was like that. You remember that show?
Very DC Cab, yeah.
Like,
for
all
sure.
of them had that aesthetic.
Yeah,
like, that's the only aesthetic that is ingrained in my head to this day. Mm-hmm. Like, I still think Uber, even though I know it doesn't, I still think Uber has one of these
go back to this garage.
You think that there's, like, an office in the garage up, like, some stairs.
That Danny DeVito's just sitting in. So, okay, so they both get mixed up with Michael Santers, and his big character beat is that he rolls his own cigarettes. Well, also his big character beat is that he loves to fuck. He loves to fuck. But separately, he rolls his own cigarettes, and the tobacco is hard to find.
Only one store in all of Manhattan.
One store.
I mean, I guess so.
Which Bette didn't know because Bette was too busy on his junk and Shelley got to know him.
Yes, exactly.
Which, thank goodness, Shelley got to know him. Otherwise, we would have been done with this movie.
We'd have nothing. So, the flower shop explosion is out of control.
Yeah.
This scene, Shelley Long is in a cab.
It's like it's in a completely different movie.
Totally different. Shelley Long is in a cab, the camera's outside the cab. Peter Coyote gets out, shuts the cab door. There's a reverse shot of him walking into the flower shop. Reverse back to Shelley Long inside the cab. You see the explosion. She delivers.
Oh, she
this
said,
scream.
yeah.
I mean, this is when it just turns full Tom Clancy.
What movie are we watching?
Yeah,
this is a Tom Clancy movie at this point. Okay, and granted, she doesn't know that he is this kind of like double, triple agent. She doesn't know anything. This is just her boyfriend that walked into her store and swept her off her feet, and they've been just furiously making love for the past 3 weeks. And he says, pull over really quick. I'm going to run into this flower shop for no reason.
Well, no, third week anniversary.
Oh, third week anniversary.
Could you imagine the amount
I gotta
of
go
work
get
this took?
all of this
The pull-off.
setup of the flower shop. So pull over cabbie. It's 1987. This is not Uber. You're a cab. You can keep the meter running. I'm going to go inside. The flower shop explodes. You're Shelley Long. This is your like.
Did she have to pay? We clearly know she's poor at this point. Like, is that a free pass from the cabbie? Like, your boyfriend just blew up. Like, you don't have to pay.
What are you thinking? The flower shop exploded? Gas leak? Wizard fight? What do you think? Like, I don't even understand.
And they never even say anything about it.
They never even
And the news, like...
This would be like national news.
And the news was like, blah, 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 with Michael who blew
Sanders.
up. Yeah, who blew up in like full name and everything.
Michael Sanders, age 38, Social Security 547.
38 was a little liberal with that.
Right. All right. But they give a lot of information on the news for
They
this.
give a lot of information.
And Bette sees it
At
the bar.
her honky tonk that she's
At her
working at.
honky-tonk
Who in a bar can hear the goddamn TV, too?
This is true.
And she's holding court
Yes.
at this bar. She's got these tables, and they're like,
And
listen to
somewhere
her.
out
I
of
want to
the
say
end-
that I want to say that they're like sailors.
It's a very Blanche Devereaux sailor bar.
Yes, she's on like a piano.
She's not, but
I like to think that she's on a piano, or like the one
full,
or like the
Michelle
one cutaway
Pfeiffer style.
of
Right.
or like the one cutaway of Debbie in Addams Family Values with all the sailors in a bar.
It's my anniversary. I'll be right back.
It's very that. She kind of just over like the din of everybody. She
Right.
just hears Michael Sanders, and she's like, "Shut it," And so this is how she gets the news. And
Can we talk about how she burst into the hospital?
Oh,
like, Shelley went through this
my
whole
God.
thing where they're like, we already identified, you don't need to, like, all the proper channels. Well, this goes back to the characters, too. Like, all the proper channels. Whereas
Yeah.
Bette's like, I'm used to the back door.
Just
I'm going
gonna
to
bust
kick
through
it
the
in,
door. Yeah.
walk through. I know exactly where the autopsy room is because clearly I've been here before. And now I'm going in and confronting.
she bursts into the morgue
Yeah.
in a New York City
Yeah.
hospital.
She knew right where to go.
Yeah. It's not her first time.
No. So this is where we find out that it's not actually Michael's body, and the way that they discover it is his
Penis,
dick.
mole, appendix scar.
Appendix scar.
So I love how they introduce this scene. It's just a funny way to shoot it when you get the shot of the door and just the audio of them meeting each other and figuring it out.
Oh, because you're outside the door.
You're outside the door.
They're behind it, and
Yeah.
this conversation is very funny. I feel like just like I said, this is pre-OJ, so no DNA is required, no dental records. They found, literally, they say in this movie, they found his wallet. That's all
And
they're
she didn't
going
get
on.
burned up.
Yeah. It is a decoy body because Michael Sanders lived, and the way that they know is that the dick on the dead body is too small, right?
First recognition, and then they went a little further into detail. But
Yeah.
yes, it was
But like
a bug fucker.
it's a bug. The pencil. It's a fucking pencil.
Yeah.
But it couldn't have been like this dick's uncut. Like a little bit more concrete.
Yeah, no, they were going for the
know?
gusto. They
Yeah.
were like, this dude had the
It's just
biggest
too
dick
small.
I've ever had
Yeah.
in my goddamn life, and that
Yeah.
is not it.
I mean, I conservatively think Peter Coyote's probably 7 inches.
Just based on his height and his gait.
I don't know. just kind of his build.
I've never thought about the length of Peter Coyote's dick. Well, no, that's not true. I haven't, based on watching this movie.
But we're not talking Peter Coyote. He's a bullshit actor. So his bullshit actor penis is like 12 by 8. Like, they just didn't even know what to do with this. It was a fucking traffic cone.
Yeah. Yeah, he stretched out those sugar balls.
But I love that the size of a penis is fully like a plot point on like Wikipedia for this movie.
On a corpse. Yeah.
Well, in a 1987 female-driven movie before Thelma and Louise,
yes,
absolutely,
yes.
Like this is one of the first times we've seen, in my recollection,
a female buddy comedy.
Yeah, that's a female buddy thriller comedy thing
movie,
where they're connected to a dude, and why do they love this dude? Well, Shelley loves him altruistically.
Yeah,
Bette loves that dick. Like, clearly, this is the best dick she ever had.
Yeah, she's all about that.
But it seemed like Shelley had a deeper connection where she actually talked to him and got to learn stuff about him. Whereas Bette's just like, every time she saw him, she's like, just stick it in me.
Yeah, true. And then the cops are just like, no, I'm not buying this dick situation. That's his body. Fuck you.
I mean, it's New York. There's no mob connection. There's nothing really to go off of at this point. So it's like, why are we going to bother? Based off. And they must have said mole or appendix scar first, because he said small detail. And then Shelley had to go into that whole exposition about, well, if you would look lower.
He's not the kind of guy.
Well, then Bette had to go in. Shelley was so awkward. Right. Talking about that penis.
Yeah.
And then Bette had to be like, let me lay it out for you.
The bug fucker.
So good.
Needle dick.
The
bug fucker.
Oh my god. As
this is like
11-year-old child.
You want to talk about reading.
You want to talk about reading. The bug. Does the word needle dick mean anything to you?
And I fully just watched this on cable, but they had to edit it.
Oh yeah.
Did they really?
You knew what they were saying.
Because you were watching television for women.
You knew what they were saying though.
Yeah. You could make out bug fucker.
Did they censor it or ad lib it?
I think I don't remember if they did a dub. They may have.
Oh, those dubs are so.
I remember the
bizarre.
good old days of ADR. Yeah, ADR F-bombs.
ADR curse words.
But I feel like there was a certain point in the early 90s where cable channels were just like, we're just going to mute it.
Or we're just going to...
It's just mute. We're not going to bother with the ADR shit anymore because it was too awkward. Okay, this is where the movie just takes this crazy turn.
When?
At the morgue.
Because it feels like it turns into a caper.
They make a conscious choice.
Well, it doesn't turn into a caper yet. Because then they're like, he loves one of us better. So he's not dead. Clearly, he's at one of our apartments.
Yeah.
Then they decide to go to the apartments. The one is being completely ransacked at that moment. And
I always laugh when they go into...
They've been here too.
Shelley Long's apartment, and she's just like, it's just burglars.
Oh, this is
it's just burglars.
Did she say burglars?
Bette does.
Did she say robbers or burglars?
I think she said burglars.
It's only burglars.
It's only burglars.
Yeah.
It's such a 80s New York delivery.
She's just so jaded. She's just like, oh, calm down. Because they're in the apartment when they get there. Yeah. So she's just...
And then chase them down the hall, and they have to do that whole, like, Manhattan run through everything so easy.
Oh, my God.
To navigate New York rooftops and fire escapes, and you can just jump into another building.
This fire escape, like, caper, it turns into the Matrix at this point. They're just, like, jumping from building to building. But, okay, and this is where we get introduced to the CIA...
But we don't know at this point.
But we don't know because the CIA never identifies themselves to these civilians that they are chasing and pointing guns at.
But, so they do wrap that up. This movie's really good about at least tying up loose ends where people would be like, I call bullshit.
Yeah.
So they said, because the dude that was in his class. Harold Heyman.
Weldon.
Because he's like, they're innocent. He's like, how do we know?
Yeah.
Like, they're working there with, like, a commie and blah, blah, blah. And, like, so we don't know. Like, why would we announce ourselves to them?
Oh, yeah.
So...
Because they think that they're working with Michael.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is...
Yeah.
At least the movie does tie up stuff. Like, it would be
Sure.
like at the end, whenever she does her pirouette over to the other thing, we've already set that up. So at least this movie's very good of... foreshadowing, setting shit up, so people aren't looking back and going like, "What?"
Yeah,
you set something up and then you pay it off.
Right
in the script,
and this is very much set up, payoff, set up, payoff.
For sure. For just this light comedy, there's a lot going on in the scripts.
There is,
and it's so like, much. And then it turns into that they quite literally save the world. In the script.
Well, at least that's 1,000 square miles.
That's one of the bananas things in this movie that I kind of forget about. That they quite literally save the world from all of the plants and animals dying.
Like, I kind of feel like 1,000 square miles is pretty much North America, or at least the continental United States.
It was.
Is it 2,000 miles from one point to the other?
I think it's a little longer than that. Given highways, I don't know square miles.
Right,
but highways, it takes a little longer.
As a crow flies.
Right? But in Albuquerque, that would definitely take care of the Midwest states. Like, there goes our corn, our potatoes, our almost all of our agriculture.
So, the MacGuffin of this movie is this vial that's like a terrorist-made...
It's called neurotoxin.
Weapon.
Yeah.
That once you spread it out into the air, it destroys all of the plants.
The vegetation.
Vegetation.
Yeah.
And then it's like a whole chain reaction.
Well, that's where it turns into this like Kurt Vonnegut sci-fi thing where it's like any vegetation it touches and then any vegetation that touches and so forth and so forth.
Which then means the animals will die and blah, blah, blah. Yes. So it would be this giant chain reaction. It wasn't like 12 Monkeys where it was like a neurotoxin that's going to like kill off most of the population and then they go underground.
Right.
But it would be a 5-year chain reaction of vegetative death to animal death to starvation to cannibalism. And
I mean, there's a lot at stake in this movie.
So Michael Sanders is going to sell this to the Soviets?
No, because he double-crossed the Soviets. So who's he selling it to?
Who even knows?
We don't even know. And then let's talk about that. Like the mysterious army he gets, or at least his bullies at the end.
He gets goons.
Where it's like, where did you get these goons?
Yeah.
You double-crossed everyone you worked with, and now all of a sudden you have a militia in New Mexico that you're still going to sell this toxin off to.
Just
but
the highest bidder?
Who is that? Maybe it's Dr. Evil style. Like,
he was one of our best. Very high clearance, access to everything. And then we began to suspect that he was a double agent working for Korzanovsky.
Wait a minute. Korzanovsky, our teacher?
Our teacher, and I'm sorry to tell you, a key undercover man for the Russians.
Oh, please. The man has a reputation. He was the definitive Lear.
He is the definitive KGB. That's why I was in that class. I was supposed to keep an eye on him, see if he and Sanders were in contact.
And they were?
We still don't know how. I never saw them come within a mile of each other. But somehow, Korzanovsky hired him.
What did Michael do?
He stole the prototype of an experimental virus. It's called fluorotoxin. It's an airborne defoliant. A few drops destroys all vegetation for hundreds and hundreds of square miles.
Like grass and trees and the whole shop?
As in California.
Oh, my God.
As in the entire wheat belt.
He would do that?
All he has to do is spill a couple of drops, and the wind will do the rest.
And is it just one of those things that just audiences that showed up to this movie in, like, your mall multiplex?
Yeah.
Like, they weren't really thinking
all
that hard about this movie.
You're not digging that
like,
deep.
you showed up because you were a big fan of Diane from Cheers.
Diane Chambers.
And you were you were a big Rose fan.
Yeah.
With Bette.
Yeah. That's the thing. So Bette Midler's acting career. Let's do a little quick deep dive.
Well, by this point we had Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
we've had, I'm pretty sure, Ruthless People, Down and Out.
I don't know. I think those were.
I feel like those were all before 87.
Shit. Yeah, maybe at least one of them was. Because I feel like from The Rose, like, it took a good couple of years.
Down and Out in Beverly Hills and Ruthless People were both 86. And then this came out in 87.
Wow.
And then she followed this with Big Business.
Oh, Big Business.
And Oliver and Company and Beaches in 88. So, I mean, these are all Disney movies.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Or, like, Disney-owned studios.
But Beaches is what got her to For the Boys and all that more serious...
Yeah. Prestige kind of like...
Right.
And also singing and...
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, Bette Midler really didn't come into her own being the movie star that we love Bette until the late 80s.
Well, even musically, like,
Yeah.
I think until Beaches and Did You Ever Know? Wind Beneath My Wings. When that happened, it was Bette.
Oh, yeah.
Like, suddenly we had this Bette explosion. I bet you a lot of people, which is why we probably have problems, like, putting an order to the movies, is because I think then everybody retroactively went back and was like, oh, now we're looking at this person.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
which would make sense why Shelley's getting the top billing, and
Yes.
like in other movies,
Yeah.
they're I'm sure getting top billing above Bette, because looking back, like, yeah, she was clearly stars of these, but at that time, I don't think she was the star of those vehicles or those movies.
Because 2 years later, we get Big Business with her and Lily Tomlin, who is like way more established at this point in her career. Lily Tomlin had been around since... I mean, Bette's been around since the 70s, but Lily Tomlin was a little bit more on people's radar, mainstream, exactly. And Bette Midler's definitely the star. This is a star vehicle for her.
Well, then I wonder, talking to gays at the time, if they weren't... I mean, I'm sure Bette was on their radar.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
And if she wasn't, just watch this fucking movie.
Well, I think Gypsy Rose probably solidified. Like, clearly, I was too. All of us were. Well, you weren't born.
Yeah.
We're too young to even have any of that experience. But I think the gays at the time were probably like, "Who is this woman? Like, she is amazing." Like, tell them the story of Gypsy Rose. Like,
Well, can you even compare what kind of a musical artist is she at this point, in the 70s when she comes on the scene? What is she doing that's like, you can't even say oh, well, she's like this person.
It's very, and I think throughout it's very Broadway. Like, I could think of all of her, any of her songs seem like it should be in a musical, even if it's not.
Yeah.
And also, I think that just sort of there hadn't been a lot of leading ladies like Bette Midler. Because she's not attractive in the conventional sense. Like, although she's a very beautiful woman, she's not what you picture the type of woman that leads a movie. So
But
I think that
Barbara. So she's our modern day Barbara.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and also, Big Business was originally offered and written for Barbra Streisand.
Oh, interesting.
Too.
That is insane to me. Every time I hear it, I'm just like, what?
So she was kind of picking up the scraps after Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there's just something very endearing and powerful about watching Bette Midler at this time. Just because you really can't compare her to anything.
Yeah. And then we have Shelley.
Well, and also we kind of forget that Shelley Long did have a pretty big movie career in the 80s. She was in Irreconcilable Differences.
Irreconcilable Differences. I forget about that movie.
That was a pretty big deal.
Hello Again that you mentioned.
Early Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, here's the problem with Shelley, though, is while I've enjoyed her in every film I've watched her in, I would say her only, and it's not a huge difference by any means, her true divergence from every character she's ever done was maybe Troop Beverly Hills, and that was just by a
They're
smidgen.
all sort of
Agreed.
version of
of
her and Cheers.
Of Diane Chambers.
She was pretty much the same person all the way through.
I mean, she was the lead of the most watched sitcom in America at the time. Like, the Cheers numbers were insane. And TV shows never get shit like that now.
Right.
And she was the lead of it.
And the movies, I mean, they work.
Yeah.
I find them still to this day enjoyable.
I mean, we've covered True Beverly Hills on this podcast, and she is so charming in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
She carries
It's Shelley Long's movie.
Yeah.
But kind of the bummer thing is about True Beverly Hills is that they didn't do that well.
No,
So it's just sort of...
True Beverly Hills is a hard sell because it's like, is it a kid's movie? Is it an adult movie?
And seeing it as a kid, I think that it definitely was a kid's movie.
Yes.
But I think that a lot of people shied away from it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we knew Shelley as Hello Again. We knew Shelley as Bunny Pig. It was very... not adult films, but adult theme where kids will be like, this is boring as shit.
Exactly, yeah. So... And it's unfortunate because True Beverly Hills is funny.
Yes.
It's got Rosario from Will and Grace.
Yeah.
Which Outrageous Fortune has a Will and Grace tie-in as well because...
The exteriors are Grace's...
Grace Adler Designs.
Grace Adler's designs.
Or wait, is it Will's office? No, I think it's Grace Adler's Designs.
I think it's in the movie, it's when they introduce her in the fencing class.
In the fencing first
and
stage.
That's Grace Adler's.
And it's great, it's Grace, the building that Grace's offices are in.
And we have to briefly mention another movie that we've done is the Brady Bunch movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really good Carol Brady.
Yes, she is.
So that would be the one time that I think Shelley's very divergent from Shelley.
Yes, for
and
sure.
I feel like a lot of actors should do character acting.
For sure,
And a lot of them don't.
Yeah. I feel like if you get to a certain status, quote unquote, as a movie star or whatever, people are afraid to do character work.
You think you would do it more and more.
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, Meryl Streep was stuck in the same character for a while.
Well, it's sort of what's happening to the careers of Colin Farrell and Jude Law now. Is that
they're taking more character
they're sort
work.
of going the character actor supporting route now.
Yeah.
And they're taking less leads.
I mean...
I'm okay with that.
Because this is the problem. When you grow up beautiful and then suddenly, like, you're not, you better have something to rest on when this is all said and done.
Yeah, you have to have the talent to back up your face that carried you. But yeah, the Brady Bunch movie, she's doing really good work because we talked about it in that episode. She's doing a version of Florence Henderson.
She's doing her Carol.
Yeah.
Not Florence Henderson's Carol.
It's kind of an elevated Carol.
It's an elevated Carol, and it's Shelley's Carol.
It's a caricature,
But she does pull key moments,
She does.
She's like, oh, my.
There's moments where if you just
studied.
listen to it, it's her. If you just watch a facial thing, it's her. So she definitely did the work, and she put in the work. But character work it's interesting that you're right. A lot of actors don't really go that route.
Well, because I do tell a lot of my actresses I work with now, it's like, stop relying on 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you need to start doing role and doing like serious, like step out of your boundary roles.
Yeah. People love that too. I feel like audiences love seeing somebody. If you're used to seeing them one way.
If Meryl would have showed up as She-Devil Meryl for fucking Devil Wears Prada, it would have been a huge mess. No, she showed up completely different. A Meryl we've never goddamn seen before.
Yeah.
And is brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, so going back to Outrageous Fortune, I think one of the things about this movie that really holds up is that it's still just really fucking hilarious.
It's funny.
It has really good jokes in it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's funny stuff.
And there's not a lot of... I was trying to look for a high convoluted word, like anachronistic or whatever the fucking word is. There's not a lot in it that seemed... It's kind of timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, there's not other than, like, smoking in an airport or doing, like, payphones... It doesn't feel like a dated
except when Bette Midler has to go and hold the plane.
I mean, there
whole
is stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
The whole, like TSA
and there's
situation
whole,
in
like
this movie.
calling up the phone company and like getting Howie, the same person, over and over. Get it, but other than that, if you can separate some of that stuff, it's kind of timeless.
And it's one of those things that I don't even like. Do you think this was seen as a risk from Touchstone? That you're doing
because it's a
female-driven comedy starring two women.
Yeah.
But it just sort of takes it in strides. Yeah. It kind of tackles that like it's not really that's not what they had in mind when doing it.
Yeah.
Like they just wanted to make this really fun movie starring these two hilarious broads.
Think of another two female-led driven movie at that time. Or even preceding that.
Yeah.
Like, the movies that come immediately to my mind that would be of similar genre is, like, Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
You had Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. Like, it's always boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Because to me, it's like, I take this and I take Big Business kind of hand in hand. And Big Business, while it has two powerhouse female comedians in the lead, Outrageous Fortune is like kind of an epic movie because it's got like set pieces.
Its scope is wide.
It goes from
they travel the continent,
Manhattan to the Southwest, and like all this crazy stuff, helicopters and explosions.
It's one of those scripts that you can see that like an executive first reads a draft, and they're just like, okay, this is a really good idea, in a script, but you really need to pull back, and it's like they didn't pull back from what.
Or
Leslie
what
Dixon
if they
originally
did?
said.
Yeah.
What if this is the toned down version?
Exactly.
Right?
What
if they like ended up in like Russia?
Yeah.
Right? Or Spies Like Us. I would love to see Shelley Long and Bette Midler in Spies Like Us.
And like Babushka's. Well, they almost did that scene in the airport.
Papa.
Or on like Mount Rushmore or something, like some crazy,
have their like North by Northwest
some
ending.
Crazy set piece on the Statue of Liberty, because like I said, Big Business, while it has the two female comics, it's very set bound to the plot of the hotel and the office sets and all
and
that.
Jupiter Holla.
And Jupiter Holla.
Well,
that's
hello,
true.
Jupiter Holla.
Hello, Jupiter Holla. But this movie just had, like I said, it's got explosions and chases and all that. It's a big movie.
It's not the type of movie that gets made anymore, or when they do make it, it's a movie like The Spy Who Dumped Me, which I didn't hate. I like The Spy Who Dumped Me. Mm-hmm. It was kind of in the spirit of Outrageous Fortune, but nobody showed up to it though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we watched all the other ones with like Melissa McCarthy or whatnot. That was just like
Spy.
All of them. Like, they looked so good in the trailer, and then you watch them, and I think that's the fun of some of these older movies is they do at least seem well conceived and thought out and timed well, and except for me blanking on 30 minutes of the latter half of the movie, but nowadays just like we have to do one scenario to another. It's very Bridesmaid model now, which works for Bridesmaids, but does not work for every film that they're trying to do that in.
I mean, how do you wrap up Outrageous Fortune? There's,
I feel like they're just the type of women that little gay boys love.
The scenes in this, like, Old West brothel.
Yes.
Oh my god. I didn't even know what to do with that.
Them dressing up as young boys.
Well, that was the intention was that they were dressing up as men. And the madam,
and they're just passed off as young boys by the man.
Who you think you're kidding, huh? How old are you boys? 13? 14? Hell, you're just babies. Why, you can't even shave yet. Your daddy know you're here?
Hell yes, he told us where to come. Come get it.
Oh, first time.
Oh, no way! It's his first time. What'd you tell her that for? You chicken shit. I ain't. I done it plenty. You always tell my secrets. I'm gonna get you. Chicken shit. Oh, Lordy, don't do that. That ain't no way to act in a whorehouse. Be a man. Be a man.
This is Tina and Maria. Have fun.
Yeah. Now tell me how we're gonna get it up.
Well, maybe if they didn't have full fucking lashes on and like rimmed eyeliner and everything with a penciled on mustache. Where did they get this pencil for this mustache? All we've seen this entire movie, we didn't even see lipstick reapplication.
No.
We saw powdering of the nose.
Yeah. She's got a...
That was the extent of the makeup they were wearing.
It was a long plane ride.
Maybe...
And they had been wandering in the Southwest
But
desert.
that leads me to believe that George Carlin had some
I was
eyeliner.
gonna say, maybe George Carlin had some kind of
He did have that funky fresh blouse, that yellow blouse that put on.
He could have had just some kind of a brow pencil, somewhere. Yeah, because the idea is they're going to infiltrate this hoe house, and they put on men's clothes, and they're in full beauty makeup with just like a Little Richard John Waters.
It's mustache. So good though.
It is really good. It's fucking funny. But the 1860s old West.
It's
Nevada.
All of a sudden we're in an episode of Westworld.
Yes, it is very Back to the Future 3, and she's just you think she caught them, and she's like, you 3, how old are you? 13, and that's when they're just yes. And that's, again, where they're acting, classes pay off and all that.
They're good at improv.
They're good at improv. Which, Korzanowski never really talked about improvisation.
It was all diphthong.
It was all
diphthong
diphthongs.
and dying.
Diphthongs and death scenes.
Sure.
But, as any actor worth their salt, they knew how to yes-and their asses out of the situation. Because they said, okay, she thinks we're teenagers. Yes, we are young boys, and we're gonna get into this brothel. And she gives them 2 women. These women are we are gonna fuck these.
We're gonna fuck these 13-year-olds.
And they ditched these girls really easy.
They totally did. Really easy.
So fast. And again, the setup of Michael's fucking, because
he's gonna be asleep in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. And again, as a kid watching this, going, all right, I guess you just fall asleep after you bone. All right, that's a thing. 3 seconds later, who am I? Some people, maybe they do.
Yeah.
Anything else that we left out?
Oh my god, I could talk about the whorehouse scene all night long. But, I don't know, Outrageous Fortune is just... Yeah, Shelley... There's something about Shelley and Bette together. I think they have chemistry.
Yeah.
It's there. Whether that came from the two of them not really getting along that well, who knows?
And maybe it just helped them with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, at the end, it's believable that they love each other.
Yes.
Or, at least respect and are best of friends and blah, blah, blah.
When they fully decide, okay, we're friends now, even though we're so different. Yeah, I get it. I buy it. I love it. I always forget about Lauren actually playing Hamlet on stage.
Yeah, it's the little button that they put on the end of the movie. I will play Hamlet.
And this crazy curtain call.
Everybody's invited.
Which is funny because
Everybody's
always
invited
forget.
They flew out George Carlin and all of his native pals.
They should have invited the TSA agent that
I would have loved to see the TSA agent
risked her job.
Eastern Airlines.
Eastern Airlines. This woman risked her job to get them on this flight.
What did she say to him?
Wait a minute. This.
Which is this story. This is the biggest piece of...
This is the biggest crock of bullshit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Working for this airline for 30 years.
Yeah.
That was the single biggest crock I've ever had the privilege to hear in my 19 years at this airline. I think that deserves something.
That deserves a little something.
That deserves a little something. They should have brought her to go see, Lady Hamlet.
I mean, they can get her later in the run.
Yeah.
Well, and what was that? Do we officially both all agree that she was Ophelia?
I think she was Ophelia.
She had the flowers and everything. Yeah, I think that woman in red was probably the queen.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh.
Which is funny because
so good.
Shelley had the Ophelia scene at the beginning.
This is true. That was her audition.
Yeah.
That was her audition for chorus. Was Ophelia's mad scene.
And they expanded Bette Midler's character knowledge of Shakespeare because she really didn't.
That's true.
She really didn't know about Shakespeare until the end of the movie.
That's true. And she was up there with her at the very end. So
took her under her wing.
Yep. So that was her arc. I love it. Oh man, this was crazy. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
our
you so
show.
much for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any final thoughts to wrap up Outrageous Fortune?
Final thoughts. Always look at someone's dick if you have to identify the body.
This is very true.
Make sure if any moles on
or appendix scars,
on your sex partners.
Be very thorough because apparently tattoos were very verboten back then, and piercings, like both were called out on Bette.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So yeah.
Wow.
Know that dick.
Know that dick.
Yeah. Final thoughts. Know that dick. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. This was awesome. Listeners, we would love it if you would continue to listen to our show each week. Thank you for listening. We'd love it if you would rate and review our show.
Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. Subscribe to us on iTunes and check us out on social media. Greg, do you want to shout out your socials to anybody? Maybe people
you're always doing some fun makeup stuff.
I mean,
you don't have to if you don't want to.
During the COVID, it's a little difficult.
Sure.
But I try to find where I can.
Because you're a makeup artist.
I am.
Yeah. You do movie makeup.
Yeah.
But like movie makeup.
Yeah.
Like the kind of makeup that like you would just dream that you would be doing. Like making
and I did. I grew up on Fangoria.
Yeah.
Like, that was my jam, which is funny because now I hate blood and gore. But back then, starting out, freaking loved it.
And here we are.
Cool. But yeah, at G Lightner MUA. But you can also find me because I follow obviously movies that made us gay. But yeah,
awesome.
So much fun.
Yeah, definitely. Listeners, you can find us on social media. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Facebook and Instagram.
And MTMUG Pod on Twitter.
Yes. And if you would like to find us individually on Instagram, I am at Peter Lasagna.
And I'm at Scott Youngballer.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.